Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the World Cup Finals weekend. We're going to be kicking it off with a lower bracket matchup between none other than your number 2 seed Australia up against number 4 in Russia. I am Mavs, joining you here as an Australian caster live from Japan, and currently sitting right next to me in the exact same room is going to be Vordy here for the IRL cast. How you doing, man? Welcome in.
Good, thank you, Mavs. Yeah, this is a very unusual circumstance, but I mean, OWC comes around once a year. It just hurts. It just hurts to miss these awesome matches while we're on vacation. So obviously we wanted to cast one of these at least while we're in Japan. But yeah, banger matchup here, Australia versus Russia. Two super good teams. Both teams having some pretty big overlaps in their skill sets. Obviously, both teams liking to pick into double time. I think the hard rock pool is going to be great for both of these teams for sure. But I'm pretty excited, man. I'm pretty excited to get to do this one live with you, man.
Yeah, we saw a pretty valiant performance, I'd say, from the Australians last week up against the United States, and they barely went down here to the lower bracket, barely missing out on that tiebreaker against the United States, and here to face up against Russia, who, like you said, have some pretty similar skill sets. Really liking things like your hard rock and your double time and just your mechanics in general. And also similar weaknesses in things like those hiddens. So, going to be an interesting match to see how it plays out in terms of picks and bans. But a tough one for Russia, I would say. Just in the sense that there are the similar strengths and Australia is likely going to be favored on paper on those similar maps. So we'll have to see if Russia can find any breakpoints there or perhaps pick into something a little bit unconventional.
Yeah, I mean, obviously up against the United States, right? Australia's tactic was just pick every single double time. That was all of their, one picks was the entire DT pool. USA picking into their strengths, Australia's weaknesses, things like precision, things like reading, things like gimmick. I think Russia is going to be weaker on those skill sets, and they're going to have maybe even a tougher time break putting on the double time. If you look at the semifinals, you obviously have DT4, where Australia got number 1. Russia getting number 2, but still like a 500k margin in between them. Australia pretty handedly beating out Russia on the DT1 in comparison. Russia, though, winning out, I believe, on one of the DTs, yeah, DT2. But bans are already coming in. We have Russia banning out the No Mod 5, which I believe
is stamina.
Yeah. So not entirely confident in their ability to play tapping. Also banning out the DT1, so Russia really respecting Australia's ability to play, DT mechanics, despite Russia also being good at it. Australia, though, respecting Russia on precision and that free mod 3 slot, which I think was a head-to-head Russia one last weekend.
Yeah, it's a sort of an anti-mod map, so also, I guess, possibly targeting more of that kind of hard rock angle there from the Russians. But yeah, a lot of respect shown from the Russians, I would say, here, actually banning out things like your 230 BPM tapping and your DT1 against Australia, which Russia, one of the few teams in the tournament that probably would never have to ban these types of skill sets. I think perhaps the only two teams being possibly better than them on paper than them would be the USA and Australia.
Yeah.
So actually taking it away, not opting to take the risk as if you do take that risk as Russia and you end up losing on those DTs, well, then you've got so many more maps open for Australia to take from you. But going to be getting the first pick in here from Russia, and they're going to be opting early on for that free mod 2, and they're going to be kicking it off with some aim control on that CS5 AR9. So early short map as well to kick things off. But yeah, actually going to be going for more of the sort of techie, awkward style of maps, it seems, for their pick strategy.
Yeah, so Russia not going to opt into picking double time, which I think is the correct decision. I think up against a team like Australia, you want to pick into things that aren't their comfort zone, and this is certainly one of them. Free mod map as well, so it's really going to put pressure on, especially the hard rock player for a map like this. It's CS5 AR9. AR9 hidden with the density of this map is still going to be really tough, but I would say it's special punishment for the hard rock player. I don't know if Australia is going to have a really comfy player for the hard rock on this one. Russia might. I think last week they had a free mod 3 Welter playing it, Chicony playing it and having a pretty good time getting 600k. In comparison, Sayo playing the hard rock for that slot getting like 200k less. So maybe they're targeting the hard rock. Could just be targeting the overall comfort on alt as well.
Yeah, but Obviously, going to be a few other maps in this pool sharing a similar type of skill set. Something like this, some aim control, a bit of finger control in here, some awkward rhythms as well. So perhaps something Russia can start to lean into for a strategy if this does end up working out. But rosters getting settled into the lobby, and Russia look ready to go already. Going to have desuqe, Chicony, and Skrowell, 3 of their very, very strong players so far in this OWC, joined by Markrum, also exceptional player. But Australia going to have their 2 big heavy hitters sitting in the lobby as well, ASecretBox, and joined by Zyntex, another heavy hitter for the Australians, and oslash, someone who doesn't get a lot of screen time for the Australians in this OWC so far, just with how strong their core is. But oslash stepping in for some of these techie, more rhythm-oriented maps and coming in here for the first one.
Yeah, I assume for most we're going to see probably Markrum on the hidden, Chicony on the hard rock. Could honestly see Box or oslash on the hidden. I expect Box, but oslash also a pretty comfortable hidden player. And it's going to be Zyntex on the hard rock. And yeah, so it's oslash on the hidden. It's pretty rare to see Box not take the hidden, but I think oslash is also super comfy. And for a map like this, it's AR9, 133, plays like 266. It's a rare case where Box might feel better on the no mod, and I think putting your best, most consistent players on the no mod is the go-to at the finals level stage.
Yeah, absolutely. A map like this on this sort of BPM can be really awkward on hidden on that AR9, but you can see early on having a couple breaks come out, Box and oslash finding drops for Australia, Chicony having the only drop for here for Russia, and there goes Zyntex as well, so early lead for Russia out of the gates here.
That is what you want to see if you're a Russia fan into their first pick. Markrum and Skrowell still holding. Markle, though, dropping on the hidden, unsurprising. Skrowell now on the no mod. And Chicony on the hard rock. I mean, the hard rocks are always a scary combo to hold. It's likely going to be mrekk or Skrowell to take the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. But we get mrekk still holding into this FC for the Australians. So the 1v1 here with Skrowell up against mrekk. Lead not really in favor of anyone right now. Combos are pretty even. I think Australia with a very slight combo lead, but a little bit under half of the map remaining here. All on these FCs here with mrekk and Skrowell for their respective countries. desuqe matching ASecretBox, and other combos not really much to speak of. So it's going to be about a 5k difference, and these FCs are big. And there goes Skrowell. He's down 1/3 of the map remaining now. mrekk with the only FC. Going to be doing what he does best early on in this match, looking like he will carry this one for the Aussies if he can continue to hold this combo, and he's just cleaning up this map so far.
And I mean, it's not even just mrekk, you have Box right behind him on the no mod as well. About to reach 600 combo, nobody on Russia even close. A rough situation on at the end of their first pick, and it does look like by the end of this, Australia's going to be taking this one out pretty confidently. mrekk looking for that full combo.
Yeah,
and he gets it.
Like he gets it. There it is from mrekk. Only FC in the lobby. Box with a beautiful reverse stroke, I believe, or at least 700 combo, still huge. So massive scores out from those 2 players for Australia. oslash and Zyntex struggling a little bit harder, but I mean, Russia just didn't have those high scores to contest with Box and mrekk. Skrowell trying his best, the 600k, but not quite enough to contest with mrekk's unanswered FC.
Yeah. I think it was just those no mods, man. Like, obviously the modded players on Australia had a hard time. I think putting oslash on the hidden, despite Box maybe being able to put a better hidden score, this doesn't matter if that, goes from like 300 to 400k. You want those consistent no mods, and that's what made the difference. Australia wasting no time immediately, picking the double time too. It's going to be the finger control, kind of burst heavy map. I believe it plays at like 255 BPM. Now, this is a skill set that both of these teams are great at. Obviously, Russia is no slouch to tapping at all, but this is Australia's comfort zone. They are afraid of no one when it comes to speed, when it comes to tapping, and they've proven to be able to win those maps against pretty much anybody if they feel like it.
Yeah, so Australia, they are going to be opting for that. Is that DT2?
Yeah.
Yeah, be opting for that DT2. Early on, so I mean, yeah, coming out with the Russia bans makes sense here to go instantly into this, tapping and finger control, I guess you could call this one, the DT2 here. So very speedy, a lot of bursts, and not particularly easy to cheese either. So something that is going to lend Australia a helping hand or two, because they are probably going to be favored on this almost every single time in terms of accuracy. So if they can get, you know, if they can get just some decently large combos, doesn't even have to be on all their players here, they're probably going to end up with some really high scores, probably just off their accuracies in general. They're going to get really good act on a map like this. And Russia as well, they're going to be no slouch on this type of thing. Have Ice Shark and Welter stepping in for them. Going to be really good on a map like this. Like I said before, probably the only two teams that could confidently contest them on something like this would probably be teams like Australia and USA. We'll see what they can do. Absolutely break-pointable for the Russians, and I think those early bans, like I said before, were probably just to be safe. You know, the likely case that they do lose these maps against Australia, they don't want to just get, you know, DT abused back to back to back to back. So we'll see what they can do, but a breakpoint is absolutely possible here for Russia.
And for this slot in particular, this double time 2, it was the one DT that Russia beat Australia on the head-to-head in. But, you know, harder pool. I think notably Chicony was the star player for Russia last weekend, getting 4th overall in the performance score. Nobody on Australia beating his performance score, but we'll see if the rest of the team can keep up, especially at this difficulty.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's bancho breaks from a lot of these players early on.
Okay, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
A little bit of bancho, I think. Or, yeah.
I think maybe an abort.
Oh, possibly.
We've Box having some mouse problems, but should be solved in a moment.
Okay, so quick abort out here from the Aussies, but very early on, so will not make any sort of difference in the map. But yeah, I mean, this will be really big for Russia if they can manage to get a breakpoint on something like this, because even though they have banned out some of this tapping and like something like this DT1 as well, so early on, they will have other good picks to go for in the rest of this match. And then after that, Australia probably still going to pick it, but, you know, they're going to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more wary going into things like these DTs. But we'll see here as we finally get into this CT2 now. All players settling into the lobby here, and we'll see very early on who's going to be feeling most comfortable.
I'd wager to say this would be a bigger breakpoint for Russia than the opposite case for Australia on the pre-match, because Australia will want to pick into double time 3 after this, maybe Hard Rock 3 to stream Hard Rock, maybe DT4. So if they do lose this breakpoint, it is very, very, very big for Russia, and they've proven they can do it. So it's up to Australia to get this one. Welter going to break early on, so does Ice Shark. Traded though by Akins and Box. So 2-2 right now.
Yeah, 2 FCs to 2 very early on, but map also isn't particularly long, already about a quarter of the way through.
Skrowell.
Oh, Skrowell as well. So it's just Chicony here for Russia, and it's just the 1 FC here for Australia as well. Just mrekk holding on, so 1 FC to 1. The two big DT players for both of these teams holding the sole FCs here. Chicony being very, very formidable on this skill set, as well as mrekk all tournament. So, going to be seeing what they can do here for their countries, holding onto these FCs, and either of them do have the opportunity here to solo carry something like this, if they can FC.
Yeah, already halfway into the map. Recoveries still building. aknzx, Zyntex all dropping.
Everyone.
All the recoveries gone for Australia. It's Skrowell, though, to back up Chicony at least somewhat. But mrekk breaks.
mrekk is gone.
And with that, that gives Chicony the opportunity to solo carry breakpoint this double time 2 if he holds.
Yeah, Chicony holding on, been doing so well for Russia on these DTs all tourney, continuing to carry on this trend it seems, holding onto the sole FC. They will take the lead by about 80k so far, and a quarter of the map remaining. Chicony gonna be able to do this for Russia, and that lead gets further and further away. Skrowell there as well with the recovery combo. No one on Australia even above Skrowell's combo, and Chicony's got the FC, so it looks like Russia are going to be taking an early breakpoint on the double time off the back of this FC from Chicony. Masterful stuff from him.
And I mean, we talked about this. If this happened, and it just did, Australia's going to be a lot more wary into picking into the rest of the tapping maps. Since the first one already went relatively badly for them. I think the entire team potentially underperforming. mrekk obviously having that unfortunate cider break, but Chicony with a huge FC, a really nice backing score from Skrowell as well. Just the thing they needed after that early breakpoint lost.
Yeah, that's huge. 1-1. And firing right back with a breakpoint of their own. And not the worst for Australia, considering they did breakpoint the first map. But definitely not a good start, considering Australia's pick strategy is likely going to revolve around these DTs and these tapping maps in general. But it doesn't mean they can't win the next one. It seemed like it was a pretty bad run from the Australians, granted. Had a few struggles there on some of the combos. I think probably local scores looking a lot better for them, but Russia take it away anyway. It's a consistency in the match that matters, and Chicony was there to be the most consistent one, as he has looked almost all tournament on these DTs. Looks like probably, I mean, I have the stat for it, but looking like at least probably the top 3 best DT performers this tournament, I would say. In general, overall, out of every player, has looked like insanely good on these. So
you might be. Oh, yeah, I think
I might have been roboting.
Might have been roboting for a second.
But we are good. So yeah, Chicony has looked fantastic on these double times, and pulls out a nice FC.
Yeah, a much needed one for Russia that pretty much evens out the game state early on. Now Australia, I mean, if they don't want to go back into tapping, I think hidden is probably their best option. Given Russia's qualifier hidden scores, they have picked some hidden against some teams. I think Russia picked the hidden 3 last weekend. But if they don't want to go into double time, I think that's the other pool they should look into. But they might not be phased by the DT2 loss and go into double time 3 DT4 anyway. But it's going to be Russia first to pick the no mod 4.
Yeah, no mod 4 to come out here from Russia. So gonna carry on the pick strategy from the start of the match, not changing things up just yet. They go for that aim control-y rhythm type finger control map on that 3 mod 3, and then they still lose it, but they're gonna stick with their guns here and go straight into the tech map. 200 BPM tech here, very, very brutal. Slider tech map, a lot of brutal aim control as well, and kind of just a bit of everything. You've got some funny space patterns in here as well, and just some really, really savage slider tech sections. So gonna be quite hard for a lot of these players to hold combo, let alone act something like this, but you will see very quickly who the tech gods are in a lobby like this on a map this difficult.
And it's always rough too, because although Scorv2 does lend itself to accuracy more than Scorv1 ever has, it's still the case where when these sliders get really, really crazy, combo is still king. So you could be a fantastic slider aim player, but it simply doesn't matter if you break on combo. Now, I do believe Russia and Australia both have their fair share of pretty confident tech players. I think notably it's Skrowell on the side of Russia who might be the most comfortable on a map like this. But obviously Australia with like players like mrekk, I think oslash might be in for this as well. Should be able to contend pretty handily.
Yeah, I think a player like Skrowell, yeah, like you said, probably gonna be very comfortable in something like this. Gonna have someone like Sayo stepping in for Australia, which is great to see. Someone who doesn't step in for too many minutes for the Australians, but coming in for the tech, no mod 4 here. And someone who's very, very good at tech as well. You got a player like oslash as well who could possibly step in for something like this. But getting to these later stages, gonna have Sayo stepping in for it instead.
Yeah, I think Sayo is also pretty good on tech. Any of those players could all be in for it depending on the comfort level. But with Australia and Russia both taking a break point back, I wouldn't be surprised if the exchange just keeps on going. I feel like this is a thing we see in really close matchups where teams just break point each other constantly. As it's just so close on a lot of these. But Chicony with an early break shouldn't matter too much.
Yeah, Chicony, early break, like you said. ASecretBox as well with an early break, but a couple other plays for Russia too. Funny drops, Welter, Skrowell, go down, desuqe, the lone FC, but this is very early days in this map. Box finding another miss. Still the double FC impact here for the Australians. So just the one for Russia. But early days, although this map is fairly short, 2 minutes 20 seconds long, so might end up mattering in the grand scheme of things. You can see some of this brutal slide attack coming in already early on in the map, and players struggling to hold combo, but there is still mrekk and Zyntex holding on strong. There goes mrekk, and desuqe actually finding a miss in there as well that I missed. So it's just Welter and Chicony here to build up these recoveries. Zyntex actually the lone FC in the lobby right now. Not the player you would expect, but is kind of going crazy on this.
I mean, yeah, Zyntex has been popping off on a lot of these Australian matches. I think a player who's definitely part of the core roster, but wouldn't be the player you'd expect to be the carry in a lot of these picks. But he's doing it on a no-mod 4 of all things on a tech map, hitting that big stream of the acceleration at the end. And now Australia with a pretty big combo on both Box and Zyntex, but Russia not too far behind. Chicony, Welter, desuqe, Skrowell all recovered, and Zyntex breaking is going to give a big opening to Russia in the last third of this one.
Yeah, and it's Zyntex is down, so ASecretBox now with the huge combo for the Australians. Welter and Skrowell are there for Russia, but this cushion for Australia might be enough. There goes Skrowell, he's down. That's a big combo for Russia, so it's just Welter versus Box now, but mrekk has a completely unanswered combo, and this lead for Australia is going to build further and further into the final quarter of this map, and I think it might already be too late, but there goes Box's combo. Welter with the 1200, mrekk is there to fend him off. I don't know if there's time for Welter here. I don't think there will be. mrekk is going to have to miss now. Welter doing all that he can, but I don't think there's going to be time. mrekk, unfortunately for the Russians, is there to make the next breakpoint of the match happen. And that's going to be 3 for 3 on breakpoints so far in this match.
I mean, at this point, let's just keep going. Let's go 12 for 12 until TB at this point. That's going to be a very low score S rank from desuqe. Getting 450k, Box as well getting 630k with that S rank. Welter 730k, but unfortunately the overall team score from Australia just a bit more comfortable. And that's just the nature of tech maps like this, man. It's so short, it's so diff spiky, it's so volatile that really any team can win it. And unfortunately for Russia today, it was Australia. And surprisingly, I mean maybe not surprisingly actually, Australia not at all phased by the loss on DT2. Maybe felt they just had a bad run, going right into double time 3, the 300 BPM speed map. And like I mentioned before, in the head-to-heads, Russia did only win against Australia on the double time 2. Now Russia, I don't believe, played the double time 3, so they could be secretly insane at this. But Australia likely, once again, the favorite on the skill set, but anything could happen when a team like Russia is also so good at the skill set.
Yeah, an interesting thing to note for this slot as well this week is this is a really, really old map. So, mapped in 2011, actually. So, going to have a lot of funny sort of linear and grid style patterns. But yeah, going to be possibly something that is worth taking into consideration on something like this. You're going to have the players that are better at these older styled maps might be stepping it up on something like this. I'm not too familiar in this lobby specifically on who's going to be really good at these sort of old styles. I think most of these players are more new gen, so maybe not something that's really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, but I think most of these players are probably going to be able to handle this sort of old style mapping, but it is something worth noting.
At the very least, for a lot of old style tapping maps, you do often get the AR8 debuff. Luckily though, this is AR9, so it shouldn't be too bad. Some of the patterns themselves might be a little bit unusual, but the density itself shouldn't be horrible at 10.3. Yeah,
you would think the density on something like this should be relatively okay, just because of that 10.3, like you said. Going to be really brutal on the stamina though as well. That 300 BPM speed, you'd think something like this is just raw speed, but because of the repeated short bursts in something like this, stamina can start to take a little bit of a toll on you, although 2 of the best DT teams in the tournament should be able to manage the burn, but we'll have to see here as we load into the map. Here we go. Are we going to get 4 for 4 breakpoints here, or will Australia finally convert a pick?
Yeah, and I mean, for Australia, they do want to win this one because the other skill sets they're going to get will essentially fall in this range, right? Double time 4, hard rock 3, likely to be some other options they want. And if it's anything like the last map we saw, we're going to see a lot lower scores than we saw on the semifinals weekend.
Yeah, for sure. You would expect much lower scores, probably in the finals weekend here. But here we are, early on in the map, and no one finding any struggles. We've got 8 FCs still intact here in the early stages of the map. Not really picking up just yet, but it will be here very shortly.
Another relatively short map, especially when you consider the intro wasn't all too bad. iShark though and Chicony as well as Akins all breaking lots of trades. I believe mrekk, that was a Bancho miss with Box, and Zyntex both going to break. It's now just mrekk already. Meanwhile, Russia does have Skrowell and Welter.
Yeah, so hold on a second here. Russia may be in for another chance at a breakpoint. Skrowell goes down though. So just Welter here holding onto this FC up against mrekk. There goes Box, and Welter's down too. mrekk, only FC in the lobby. iShark finds another miss. Russia with a small lead halfway through the map here, but mrekk, he's going to see the score at the break, and if someone's immune to nerves, it is going to be this guy. On something like this, even in OWC, probably will not phase someone like mrekk too much, but doesn't mean he can't find a funny miss somewhere. Lead is going to flicker over to Australia here quite quickly, and if mrekk can hold this for a little bit longer, it should be enough to finally convert a pick here for someone in this match.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all mostly resting on the back of mrekk, a man with almost every accolade to obtain, as you said, is likely the least to get nervous. Just needs to hold on a little bit longer, but unfortunately with that break, that maybe gives Russia a chance. However, with iShark and Welter both dropping, it's now just Chicony again. Akins, though, not too far behind, should be able to hold the lead for Australia for long enough, assuming he doesn't break.
Holding on, Akins. Chicony's right there. But I don't think there's going to be time here for Russia. Unfortunately, Chicony, with the miss early on in the map, wasn't going to be enough. Would have been if it was an FC, but not quite enough. Akins holding the line at the ending there. 140k lead there for the Australians. Finally, the point gets converted. And now Australia are in a good spot. Considering how many breakpoints we've been seeing this match, if Australia managed to get another breakpoint here, it's going to be a pretty tough lead for the Russians to try and catch up to.
Yeah, for sure. And big confidence boost for Australia. It is shocking to see how big the score gaps are compared to semifinals. I mean, semifinals we saw several 4 million score lines on the double times. We saw lots of 3 million score lines, but here we are already getting into the low 2 mils. So players having a lot of struggles with the skill gap.
Yeah, and I mean that's only going to continue as we move into grand finals week. Obviously, these maps are getting so hard. Honestly, either last year or the year before, where the maps just kind of took this almost previous years, and mechanics like ceiling is just ridiculous. So, yeah, some of these maps in OWC are just getting so hard now.
So apologies for any technical issues right now.
Yeah, we're trying to manage this live from Japan on a laptop.
On a laptop.
On a hotel Wi-Fi.
It is rough.
Doing our best though here. Alright, I think we're good.
And hopefully this is less brutal.
But here we are. Have the next pick in here. I think it's no more.
This is the did lose that. So it's a similar situation where they picked a slot, they lost on it, but they were not phased and they went right back into it.
We will be right back momentarily. It will be just a second here. Okay, I think we're back. I think we are back and I think we are good.
We have done a tactical Wi-Fi swap.
A tactical hotspot swap.
Apologies.
A tactical hotspot here might come in clutch. Hopefully no more roboting here, but yeah, no mod 2.
Yep, a collab from the legendary Delis, Mirash, and I believe Moth. So very big collab here. And obviously don't be phased by the no mod 2 slot. Obviously it's not a flowing stream map, it is an alt map.
Yeah, gonna have a lot of snappy ult and something like this, a little bit of finger control to kick things off, and some tough aim control as well. But yeah, gonna get kind of progressive difficulty in a map like this as well, so gonna get more difficult towards that back half, but we'll see early on if anyone finds struggles. Combos, hoping you have them intact for the earlier sections where the map is generally going to be easier, but still, of course, going to be very, very missable. You know, we are in the final stage, like I said, and as I was saying before, if I wasn't roboting too hard, the maps have just been getting so hard in OWC over the recent years.
Yeah, I believe the spike from semis to finals is where a lot of players, even on these really good teams, when it comes to, you know, your third, fourth players, do end up being significantly less comfortable. And it's where the star players often end up needing to shine through. So far, though, just going to be desuqe on the miss. Everybody else holding from the intro.
Yeah, everyone else managing to hold. And you see these cut doubles coming in. Patterns like this look very, very, very daunting. Not particularly difficult to hold combo 2, though. That space pattern, if anything, was definitely harder as we get into the real meat of the map here now. Everyone else holding those 7-way FC and desuqe, only missing in the very intro. So, lots of FC still. In fact, there goes Box. First big FC to drop here in this first PI. And there goes 2 other players for Australia. Zyntex and Aknzx are down. Game are the only one to trade it. It's only mrekk for the Aussies. And there goes Chicony as well. desuqe dropping the recovery. It's Skrowell versus mrekk. And again, another 1v1 against mrekk. I think it's the 3rd time this match. And there goes Skrowell, chain miss on the spaced cut pattern. mrekk, the only FC, no one with any combo to speak of besides Mr. Eck himself.
Mr. Eck, nerves of steel, halfway through the map, and all of Australia, in terms of their combo lead right now, is pretty much resting on mrekk. If he breaks at any moment, especially with Zyntex dropping right there, Australia will have the score lead swinging back to Russia, hitting those space sliders, all of the ult patterns. It's in mrekk's court right now on this ult pick. Last weekend, we saw some, I would say, uncharacteristic misses from him, despite him still playing very, very well. But today, it seems like he's on form, and it's just what Australia needs right now.
Yeah. And they're going to need it going forward in this lower bracket, assuming they can actually win this match. So if mrekk's looking on form, that's best case scenario for them, continuing to hold in this map. Even less than a third remaining now, getting into this final quarter. And mrekk, I mean, he's going to be completely uncontested if he can hold this combo. It'll be a surefire win. And not only that, Russia has accumulatively like 100 combo, and Box has 600 as well. So yeah, this is looking almost impossible here for the Russians to make a comeback.
And with this consolidated pick with Australia on the double time 3, this is going to put Australia in a fantastic position. mrekk's still holding combo. These patterns are absurd.
Oh, wow.
Hitting the He is going crazy right now. Does miss. So it will not be a complete slaughter, but I believe that combo from mrekk should be more than enough. None of Russia really having any combos to hold in this ending section. It's going to be another very nice performance from Australia.
Oh man, some of these aim control wiggle patterns in the ending are ridiculous. What is that? It's like a square flow aim pattern that was like the jump spaces. Like, that is absurd. But mrekk getting through, I think, everything besides like one pattern there in the ending. Yeah, look at the miscounts. What is that from Box? 3 miss from Box as well. Actually getting the lowest misses in the lobby. mrekk and Box 5 and 3, and no one else was even close.
Box with the best accuracy as well, but even to see the score difference, the second highest was Box at like 450k, and then mrekk at number 1 with a bit over 700. So huge K performance from mrekk. Exactly what Australia needs in times like these. And now they're up 4-1. Now obviously Russia still has some room, still good margin away from Australia to take this. But they need to start panicking now at this point with those 2 losses.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I'm Russia here, they've tried to stick with this aim control tech sort of angle. Went for the free mod, went for the no mod pull. Both of them got breakpointed. I think you switch things up here. I'm thinking maybe something like a hard rock angle could be an option. Or possibly try and challenge Australia on those hiddens. Russia doesn't like the hiddens either. Australia probably going to be their weakest skill set too. So do you try and dip into that skill set? Do you maybe stick with your other strength and go for something in the hard rock pool here? Australia did ban the precision, so that's also going to be an option for Russia. But other than that, I don't really know where you go. I think the best picks for them here are going to be probably either hard rock or try and dip back into this free mod. You've also got possibly the no mod 3, but they did just kind of lose the no mod 2 and no mod 4, so not too sure about that one.
And what's funny
Hard
is
rock.
I was about to say, yeah, I think for Russia the best path is hard rock. Not necessarily because Australia is at all bad at it. I think against most teams, Australia would be picking hard rocks after the double time.
Yeah.
But Australia's going to beat them to it. They're going to pick the hard rock one. It's a little bit of a, it's a BPM that's in between single tap comfort for some of the faster players and alt. It's 120, plays like 240. So a lot of the players for Australia will be comfortable playing this regardless of the tapping. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good chance for Russia. All right, they should be pretty good on a hard rock one like this. Both teams have popped off on aim in the tournament so far, and also haven't had a good time in the aim in the tournament thus far. But if I think there was ever a chance for Russia to get a breakpoint back and keep this match close, it would be here.
Yeah. Here I was thinking it was Russia's pick, but yeah, Australia's pick anyway. They are going to dip into that hard rock, which was going to be, I think, also a decent angle for Russia. So, you know, like you were saying, I think fairly good chance they could breakpoint something like this. Already breakpointed a favoured Australian skill set on that DT2. So hard rock 1, honestly, this one's pretty up in the air. I'm going to be honest, I don't think... Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a pick particularly where it's like Australia feels like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to win this. This is going to be who's feeling the least nervous, because when you have slots like this where you've got just, you know, a lot of aim on like a hard rock pick, especially with small circles, it's going to be, you know, there's not particularly a skill set in general that's being super tested on that high end. So you're going to have more so just your raw mechanics on, you know, these difficult 7-star maps. They're starting to get harder, but there's not really anyone in this lobby that's going to struggle on the skill ceiling on a map like this.
Yeah, it's not going to be ceiling, it's going to be most just consistency, right? This is a kind of map you could FC on site raid and then get like 400k in match because you're a bit nervous and you miss like 3 times on the aim. But, I mean, other than the aim itself, does have some 1/3s, and if there's anything that is easy to break on, it is hard rock 1/3s. That is a devious thing to put in a hard rock 1. A pretty brutal ending as well, so if the map does get close by the end, that could be the difference maker. Getting to it though, we have the core 4-man roster for Australia, as expected. Russia as well running, I think, their main 4 they've been running on most of these maps. And, I mean, Russia really wants this one. Australia, though, has a chance to put themselves up 5-1, which would be a pretty dominant position.
Yeah, I think Russia pretty much needs this if they want a way back into this match. It doesn't mean a 5-1 lead isn't, you know, it doesn't mean it's impossible for Russia, but that's really grim. A 5-1 lead is extremely hard to come back from, especially when you're not even favoured on the remaining picks in the match. So, yeah, I think Russia, if you're rooting for a close match here, you really want them to get this break point and then try and consolidate it with some sort of pick of their own. But early on, Skrowell going to find that break for Russia. Australia going to find 2 breaks of their own on Zyntex and aknzx. So it's going to be the 2 hard hitters for Australia holding on Box and mrekk. But there goes Chicony. Probably the hardest hitter for Russia, finding a drop. Welter and desuqe to hold. So 2 FCs to 2 here in the early stages.
You can see a lot of these angles are pretty awkward. Normally the AR-10 on hard rock does kind of cancel out some of the awkward elements on aim, but you still definitely feel it at this BPM and at this just difficulty and consistency. Relatively even though, like combos are basically dead even. Slight score lead to Russia, maybe based off accuracy. But it's going to come down to who drops next.
Yeah, no one's dropping in this dip spike section. And now we get these funny back and forth and weird flow patterns as well into slight bursts in between. And there goes Chicony, there goes Welter, 2 of Russia's players, but all of Australia is holding. And Welter was one of the FCs as well for Russia, so that's huge for the Aussies. As mrekk and ASecretBox continue to hit all of these triangle aim patterns, going crazy on everything. They're both hitting it, man. That's how all the Australians get through it. Skrowell as well for Russia to hit, but all of the Aussies, desuqe dropping that FC. I didn't quite catch that one as well on that section. But all of the Aussies getting through that is going to surely guarantee this pick.
That is unreal that every single player on Australia, both FCs and the recoveries, made it through that entire section. 3 players on the side of Russia losing their combos. Aknz does drop, so does Zyntex. That's some big combos gone, but still the 2 FCs. It's still Box and mrekk double FCing right now. Skrowell is the only thing really giving Russia even a slight chance at taking this back, but right now it just seems as long as Box or mrekk hold, they'll take this, and Box on phenomenal accuracy as well.
Yeah, one of these FCs had to hold for Russia, unfortunately, for there to be a chance. Skrowell's got a big recovery, but it just doesn't matter with this double FC. Crazy stuff from these two hard hitters on Australia. mrekk finds the miss, but there goes Skrowell to trade it. And now it's just ASecretBox here to hopefully close out the sole FC of the lobby. Chicony doing his best, but no, I've cursed Box.
Oh,
He
no.
falls on this ending section. This map just seems to get harder and harder. Chicony misses too. desuqe, the only one to combo the ending of this map, it seems. Box unhappy with himself, missing right at the end, but it's not gonna matter. Australia gonna win that one quite handedly. About 500k in it. And, I mean, a phenomenal performance from everyone on Australia. No one below 500k.
Yeah, I mean, just everybody in Australia getting through that brutal consistency aim section ended up giving them quite a resounding lead. And now Australia up 5-1, and as you said, Mavs, it is tough. It is tough to get back from here. You do not really have much room for error at all. Australia just needs to win one more map to secure the tiebreaker at least. And with Australia on good form on several skill sets, they've won a hard rock pick, they've won a DT speed pick, they won all of Russia's picks thus far. Russia needs to do something to try to get back to this, and they're going to go for the no mod 3.
Yeah, gonna stick in this sort of aim control-y, weird type, sort of gimmicky style with their pick strategy so far. It hasn't worked out on all three, was it two?
I believe
Two or
three.
three.
Yeah,
all
three,
three of the maps they picked. But they're gonna be going for it here again. See if they can finally beat the breakpoint curse on this one. Sticking with it, not opting to change their pick strategy. They are sticking to their guns, confident on this no mod 3, and we're going to have more slider aim. Just like we had some slider aim on that no mod 4, obviously going to be a fairly different map though. Going to have some more ulti and figure control elements in this one in comparison to your sort of 200 BPM tech on the no mod 4. But yeah, I think particularly this will still be very difficult for Russia. It hasn't been working out so far. I don't think this map is different enough to warrant, you know, the pick strategy change here. Kind of, yeah, still just sticking to it, what they know.
And I guess if there's upside for Russia here, it is the fact that especially the last pick, the no mod 2, was very close, and it came down mostly to mrekk having a very good performance.
Yeah.
If Russia feels like they have somebody or multiple people who are capable of doing something similar on this one, it could still make sense why they've picked it. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, Australia just on fire right now, on great momentum, and Russia needs to break it here, because otherwise I dare say it is looking pretty much over.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is kind of a do or die pick for Russia here.
They need to break it. It needs to be on this pick because you're going down 6-1, guaranteed tiebreaker for Australia. Australia's got way too many chances to close it out. And with how many break points we've been seeing, more than likely will happen. So Russia, they've got to start this reverse, well, near reverse sweep. Not quite. They've got to start it here though, on this no mod 3. And I mean, if they're confident with their scores on paper as they were on those other maps, it is absolutely doable. Just haven't been converting in the lobby. But seems like they want to stick to it. Here we go. It's going to be the no mod 3, Chicony, Skrowell, Welter, desuqe, the big four for Russia here. Box, Zyntex, mrekk, 3 of the core players for Australia, but aknzx going to be stepping out here for Sayo, coming in for another map, I believe second map of the match.
Yeah. I mean, Sayo's been a great specialist for Australia in some of these weekends, where he's not in for too much, especially with Australia liking to take into a lot of speed and a lot of high-end mechanics. But this kind of more weird skill set that's a bit more reading focused, a bit more ulti, Sayo can just come in and get a phenomenal score like he did on the DT4 last weekend. So having those kind of players who can just come in, play their niche role, and perform well on it is very, very good for a team like Australia. Russia, on the other hand, have been really, really sticking to that core 4, I think more than I expected.
Yeah. Generally, you would see a player like Markrum step in for maps like this, but perhaps it could be this later stage, perhaps the core players coming in instead. But we see here some early breaks, Sayo and Welter finding misses. That's 1 apiece here. 6 FCs still intact, 3 aside. But you can see this slider aim brutal. Some similarities here to the no mod 4, but obviously a lot more ulti in this sort of style. Buzz sliders not catching anyone off guard, but still just the 1 miss aside. Lots of FCs on the board, and starts to get scary now as we approach this halfway point. There's not much score in it, and a single drop is going to be devastating for either country here.
does seem to be a bit of an accolade for Australia as well, giving them the score lead despite Sayo having that second break a little bit after his first. But you can see this slow section just building the nerves, building the hype. As when the Ki drops again, I still see a lot of breaks.
Zyntex,
unfortunately dropping on the slow section, and that's going to be a big miss for Australia, as Russia now has one extra FC on them.
Halfway through the map though, Russia, a chance here to shut down this momentum from Australia, and it finally needs to happen at some point. They've got the 3 FCs, they've got the recovery from Welter. Sayo though matching that recovery from Welter. So it's just one unanswered FC for Russia here, and I have a feeling someone's going to break at some point, whether it's Australia or Russia. It's got to happen here soon. There's no way the rest of these players continue to hold combo. Zyntex very, very unhappy with his slider break, it seems. But still room for the Aussies here. Still lots of FCs intact. And you know how this score will start to just rocket towards ending the map. We'll just start to go up more and more as these combos get higher.
If Australia wants to win this pick, they need somebody on Russia to break soon. But if you're in for a close matchup, and I think we all hopefully are, you want Russia to close on this ending. They have a big lead.
Oh man, there's got to be a miss though. Someone's got to miss at some point, no matter which country, because these patterns are starting to get ridiculous. And there it is, Skrowell misses. Zyntex is there to trade, but that's not the combo that matters for Australia. 2 FCs to 2 now, and the recoveries still matching each other. This is down to the wire. Australia, it seems like they're getting a slight accuracy advantage with this score slightly going back over to them. Ooh. There goes mrekk. Big FC down, and Russia, Chicony, desuqe holding onto the FCs. Welter holds strong as well, and it is just going to be enough for Russia. Zyntex furious with his break as he continues to scribble all over his tablet.
So somehow it just kept his cursor showing, and it is just the unfortunate break on the slow section. Might have ended up being the difference maker, really.
Well, 500,003, that's a crazy score there.
Oh, that is an aesthetic score. Imagine 3 less. Oh, don't look at mrekk's accuracy. Please do not. Please do not. Oh, no. But a much needed win for Russia, as we've been saying. Breaks momentum, gives them another huge point on the board. Now, obviously that was their pick, but you know, if they get a break point here, win another pick, it's starting to look very close. But I mean, yeah, phenomenal performance from both teams. Honestly, those are very high team scores at this stage of difficulty. 3 mil from Russia,
yeah,
2.8 mil from Australia. Well done for both.
Yeah, I mean, that was ridiculous on a no-mod pick too. That was relatively long. Usually styled maps like that don't have too much downtime, although I will say that map in particular had a fair bit of downtime. Still generally just really hard to FC, consistently difficult maps like that. Even when they're more kind of alt flowy style, that one was more of kind of, you know, your slider aim alt style. But yeah, still really hard to get that many FCs, that many high combos on the board. So yeah, phenomenally played from both countries. But we're going to be getting the next Australia pick here. And here it goes.
Interesting. This is a bit of an unusual slot for Australia to pick, I think, given the maps that's available. I'm surprised they haven't leaned into DT4 yet. Obviously, yeah, DT4 being lag train, it's a pretty wild double time map. But I think just due to Australia's DT mechanics, they could be pretty good at it. Now, it is AR10, obviously, so still pretty dense. Hard Rock 3, I thought was also a good option for them, but they go for the free mod 4, so this is pretty high BPM fast aim map. Very big circles. It's CS 2.6. I believe it's also AR 9.6, so not super punishing for either mod. The circles are still going to be pretty comfortable on Hard Rock. The density isn't going to be too bad from the hidden. So I think this is going to be the pick in the pool where the modded players are going to be a lot closer to the no mods.
Yeah. Interesting pick from Australia though, not generally a team to go for free mod. So, jumping in here with this one, you could draw some similarities here to something like the Hard Rock 1, but obviously the circle size is going to be vastly different, but you've kind of got your fast aim elements in something like this. They did win the Hard Rock 1, so going in here for this free mod 4, holding off on something like Lag Train, like you said, might just be a bit of a funny pick.
Yeah.
So, going for something perhaps a little bit safer. But Russia, if they get a breakpoint here, this match is going to start to look very interesting. Mods-wise, this is going to be super tough to call who takes what. You would assume it's the general, you know, the default on who takes these mods here, your usual players. But for something like CS 2.6, like, and a very comfortable approach rate too, it could honestly be anyone. Like, it could be vastly different.
Especially if, normally we've seen mrekk play no mod on the free mods just to be the consistent rock, but I could totally imagine him putting hard rock, hidden hard rock, just if he feels comfortable on the aim and he wants the higher score cap. Obviously, the upside of putting your best players on no mod is you're more consistent, but doing the opposite way, you could get a higher potential score. So yeah, this is the free mod where I could see either working.
I mean, this is a map where, like, just because of the sheer size of these circles, you could see someone like mrekk go, oh yeah, let me just chuck hard rock on this, and it's more comfortable for him. Because obviously the skill cap's not going to be an issue. But no, he is going to stick with the no mod. We are going to see a overmod from Russia, though, double hard rock, as we were talking about, Chicony and Welter taking it, but no other overmods to speak of. Gonna be pretty much expected across the board. It's just this one overmod that's a bit of a surprise.
Still makes sense, though.
It does make sense,
yeah. I mean, it's still relatively dense at 9.6, it being 256 BPM, so Welter and Chicony both being very, very good hard rock players, the two best hard rock players on the team. I can totally see this option. I think generally speaking, overmodding hard rock is almost always not a good idea at this stage, but for instance, you can see the aim already getting very, very big, 256 BPM, with almost getting to full screen spacing is no joke. And so far, it's going to be 2 breaks, one from Box, one from desuqe, and also Welter dropping, so now it's 3 combos for Australia to 2 to Russia.
Yeah, 2 of the modded players as well, Russia dropping, so slightly more score going to be lost, but there's the hidden player also dropping for Australia, and there goes Chicony as well. All 3 modded players losing their combos on Russia. We'll have to see if this double hard rock comes back to bite them. The no mod player, the only one holding for Russia, and still huge combos intact here for Australia. This is going to be a really tough climb. You're going to have to see several breaks from the Aussies, and I think Skrowell is going to have to pretty much hold this combo for there to be room.
Oh, but with aknzx breaking, there was a chance. Unfortunately, Skrowell did miss right after. So that's 2 FCs for Australia to just recoveries. 1 recovery now with Chicony breaking. I mean, one of these FCs have to miss from either Zyntex or mrekk. With the form we've been seeing, mrekk on aim, I think that is the most set in stone combo, and especially Welter on the hard rock is just so volatile. The spacing is ridiculous. But so far, it's just Australia with a massive combo lead on these 2 FCs.
Yeah, the spacing just looks so brutal. And like I was saying, maybe the overmod hard rock could be expected, but like after seeing these patterns again, like on hard rock, I don't know, that spacing is corner to corner, man. Crazy to hit that in match. Zyntex is kind of going bonkers right now. Welter as well with this recovery is pretty insane on these hard rocks. aknzx finds a miss. I just don't think it matters though with these combos from Zyntex mrekk. Zyntex going insane. This is what he did last year for Australia on free mod hard rock specifically for some reason. Zyntex just popped off, and it seems like he's doing it again here on this in these later stages.
Especially on a pick like this, I mean, I kind of expect mrekk on the no mod to FC does finally miss. Not too surprising. Welter though hitting it. Very, very good recovery on the hard rock, but with a 600k score lead, pretty much no time left. mrekk still on pace for an FC. This looks like another very, very clean Australia win.
Yeah, cashed in here for mrekk at the ending. Hits the bone slider. Hits the life support slider. There it is. mrekk with the FC on the free mod 4, and that is going to almost seal this matchup. It will secure the tiebreaker now for Australia, 6-2, and I mean a tough road ahead for the Russians, but they will have a pick here. And 6-3. Well, it starts to look a lot more doable than 6-2, so we'll see if they can have a good pick in the pocket. Not too sure what they're going to go for. Stuck to their guns for 4 maps straight. It finally worked out on the 4th one. Do they mix it up? I don't even know if there's going to be any other like aim control sort of techie picks left in the pool.
I mean, at this point, if you want aim control tech, you have to go into hidden. But as we've talked about before, I don't think Russia has excellent hidden players. But I don't really know if they have a good 4 for hidden. Both teams thus far have pretty much just avoided that mod pool entirely, just to have a nice gentleman handshake and play it. But maybe you go for it. You could go for other aim picks, but after Australia, winning pretty handily on the free mod 4 aim pick, yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you go something crazy like lag train and just give it a try?
Oh, and I don't know, lag train into Australia. I mean, like, Russia and Australia were 1 and 2 on that DT4 last week, but do you just go like, just throw a curveball and go like low AR? Just go hidden coup, get Markrum in, like see what happens? Like, I don't know, this is kind of really hard though for Russia. I even like being in the captain's shoes here, I don't know what I'd pick. But it seems like they are going to dip into that hidden pool, I believe. If I'm seeing that correctly.
Yep, it's going to be the hidden one. So they do stay in alt aim tech. This is an alt aim tech map, obviously having to lean into the hidden pool, which given their quality scores on hidden, obviously quality is notably easier, but still that does speak to their hidden comfort as a team. Yeah, I mean, I kind of give Australia the hidden comfort generally on this. I think Box, oslash, mrekk, and then maybe somebody like Saya or aknzx should be pretty good on this. Russia, I do believe Skrowell is going to be excellent on this. Markrum as well, if he feels good on the skill cap. But I think players like Chicony, Chicony is such a fantastic player, but I think if there's anything he wouldn't want to play, it's likely hidden, generally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the tough part, right? You got Chicony has been your best performing player this tournament, but you're picking hidden. And like you said, it's probably what he wants to play the least. Doesn't mean he can't FC something like this. He probably can FC almost any map in the pool. I'd say probably except for like the low AR. But, you know, yeah, Markrum is going to be stepping in, as you said. So that's like kind of the one worry as these maps start to get really, really hard. Markrum, phenomenal player, but not quite at the skill ceiling of some of these other guys like Chicony and desuqe, like on his team. So that's one of the worries when you start to delve into these deeper hiddens. Is he going to be able to keep up with his skill cap? It seems like he's jumping in here, so hopefully for Russia, going to be doing okay on this finals hidden one. For Australia, going to have a similar sort of situation. You've got players that are good on these sort of hidden alt aim tech maps. Someone like oslash could be stepping in for something like this, but similar thing. Is oslash going to have the skill cap to get a consistently high score on this? Sure, he can probably get like an 800 plus K on locals, but it's another story when you play it in tournament. You need to be setting scores like that consistently, and with how hard these maps are getting, yeah, it might be tough for some of these players that don't have, you know, the skill cap of some of the best players in the game.
Fortunately for Australia, though, there's going to be oslash coming in. Yep. Fortunately for Australia, the pressure is all on Russia. They're up 6-2. They have a massive, massive cushion to fall on. They're guaranteed at least 2 more picks, or yeah, 2 more picks. So it's up to Russia here to see what they can do. They've avoided the hidden pool, I believe, for a reason. But the time is now to see if they can perform when it's needed.
Yep. I have a couple different faces in this lobby here. oslash in for the Aussies, Markrum in for the Russians. Haven't played, I think, Markrum's second map of the match, and maybe oslash's second as well. I think they've both played 2 maps now. At least they've definitely at least played 1, I'm pretty sure. So coming in here for this hidden one, rest of the players we've been seeing pretty much all match here. And here we go, getting into this hidden one. Not your conventional hidden one, going to be a little more ulty, a little more tech focused, and it's what Russia's been picking all match. They're 5 for 5 on this skill set. So will it work out for them the second time here? The last pick did work out. Markrum goes down, Chicony finds a chain miss, and desuqe finds a chain miss. Huge misses for the Russians. It's only Skrowell to hold. No one can hit anything on Russia except for Skrowell. oslash misses, but oh, Russia is struggling.
Oh, the chain misses are brutal. This map is OD9 as well, which is relatively low for this density. Everybody breaking.
God.
It's now just Akins, which is not the player I would expect to be the last FC on a map like this. The chain misses are just brutal, though. Akins finally does drop, so no FCs left. It's just supporting combos, everybody having a horrible time. But Australia, despite all of that, is still up almost double Russia's scoreline.
So many of these patterns are it's just exit this Earth's atmosphere. Like so many of these patterns. You got these spaced quads coming in. ASecretBox finding a miss though there as well. oslash as well finding another break. But yeah, you've got like these spaced cut quads, and then you've got these really spaced triples, literally just the same patterns. And I mean, they're impossible to hit in solo, so it makes sense here why no one has a combo. Akins with 280, mrekk with the biggest combo in the lobby here on 500. And the lead is already almost insurmountable. There's a third of the map left, and it's 400k lead, which doesn't seem like a lot, but Australia are only on 1.3 mil and have a 400k lead. So I think it might be it for Russia here.
I believe so, with mrekk on 600 combo, almost 500k score in the lead. That might be very well the end for Russia's hopes in this iteration of OWC. mrekk just been on a ridiculous performance tonight. Does finally break, but that's going to be Australia winning the hidden one. Both teams having a lot of struggles. This map is absolutely bonkers. But there we go. Australia takes it 6-2.
Yeah. They do take the match